Hey guys, it's Kay from Chaos Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/PettyRevenge. Now we did Supernova Revenge, and that did not go over so well, so we're going back to Petty Revenge, and hopefully you all enjoy it. Obligatory apology for my writing. English isn't my first language, and I've never been an all-star when it comes to proper spelling and grammar. This happened a few years ago when I worked at our local amusement park. At this amusement park, we only had one roller coaster. It was by far one of our most busy rides. I typically worked at the go-kart. It was the best. But one morning, I was told to go to the roller coaster. Dang. And here is where the story begins. EM is entitled Mom, EK is entitled Kid, me is, take a guess, SS is Shift Supervisor, who's a good friend of mine. Everything is going well, not too busy. After a ride was completed, the kids all jumped off and ran through the exit. While I was closing the exit gate, I noticed EK is jumping over and under the line dividers and skipping the line. I open the entrance gate and start filling the ride. EK was one of the last kids who was going to get on, and I felt like this wasn't fair to other customers. Me. Hey bud, I'm sorry, but I saw you jump the line earlier. These people have been waiting longer, and you'll have to go behind the line. EK. I didn't jump the line. Me. I'm sorry, but I did see you jump the line while I was closing the exit gate earlier. Then a few other clients started to make comments about him jumping the line. This is when EM jumps in. She was hanging out at the line entrance with other non-riding parents. EM. What's going on? Why is my son not getting on the ride? Me. I'm sorry for this inconvenience, ma'am, but when I was closing the exit gate earlier, I saw your son jumping our line fences and skipping the line ahead of other waiting customers. I'm just asking him to go to the back of the line since other customers have been waiting. EK. I didn't skip anybody. EM. See? He hasn't skipped anyone, so let him on. Customers shouting comments about our son being a liar and to move. Me. I'm sorry, but I know what I saw and I have to be fair to other customers. EM. Are you saying my son is lying? I want to talk to your manager. Me. Okay. I radio my bud, the shift supervisor, and explain to him what's going on. He shows up. She basically says to him that I called her son a liar and I'm refusing to let him on for no good reason and I should be punished for being so rude. They start arguing, but eventually another adult waiting in line says, let him on, we all know he skipped a line, but let's move on. The other customers seem to agree with this. This is what happens after. EM. You know what? Because of this, I want to go on the ride with my son. Everybody just rolled their eyes. SS. Just let her in. Me. Alright! I turn around and open the gate. EM with a smug look on her face. Where should we go? Me. You're one of the last groups to get on, so only the last carts are still free. EM. Good. Just an FYI, please don't call my son a liar ever again, or I'll get you fired. I decided to ignore her and let her go on the ride, and since I already had my plan figured out. The entrance and exit is located at the front of the roller coaster, so to get to the back seats, they had to walk by all the customers they skipped. Before we start the roller coaster, we have to complete a few safety checks, basically making sure they're buckled properly and the safety bar is pushed in and engaged. The thing with the safety bars is that you have to push them in far enough to engage a limit switch. If all of the limit switches aren't closed, we can't start the roller coaster. The thing is, EM had a larger than average circumference, and I already knew that she was too large for the limit switch to close. Typically, if we had a larger customer come in, we used a tool to bypass the limit switch and start the ride. But, oops. This is where my petty revenge comes in. Me. Excuse me, ma'am. I need to push in your roll bar further, or I can't start the ride due to safety reasons. EM. What? This is ridiculous. Okay, go ahead. I start pushing on the safety bars. We hear a couple of clicks. You can see she's being crushed. I check our panel. No luck. Everyone is staring at her, and she's fire truck red. EM. What is going on? Me. Sorry, ma'am, but you're going to have to suck in your stomach if you want to ride the roller coaster. Other customers are loving this, and she's getting really embarrassed. EM. Try again! Me. Okay. I walk back to our console. Nope, no luck. Still says the bar isn't engaged. EM. So, what are you going to do about it? Me. I'm sorry, ma'am, but unfortunately this ride isn't designed for someone your size. I'm going to have to ask you to get off the ride. EM. You have to be effing kidding me. Are you saying I'm fat? Me. Oh, no, ma'am. I'm just saying you're too large for this specific ride. At this point, she storms off, ticked off as heck, walking by all of the customers she skipped. She's mumbling and swearing out of embarrassment. It was so sweet to watch. I put another kid on the ride with her kid, and I start the ride no problem. EK and EM might have delayed the ride by a good 15 minutes, but I feel like everyone agreed it was worth it. She made a scene with SS again, but he agreed with me and told her there's nothing we can do. So that was an interesting crossover of entitled parents and petty revenge. I can't imagine having to look at someone and tell them that they have to suck it in to be able to ride the ride. I'd almost be embarrassed saying it, but I guess I understand when they're being that entitled that it kind of is a sweet revenge. My roommate likes to play her music out loud without headphones at such a volume that I can hear it through my closed door and through my wall when she's taking a shower. I've told her both in person and over text that it's distracting and annoying, especially when I'm trying to do work or take a nap because I have an 8 a.m. class. Apparently, she doesn't care because her behavior continues. That and just inviting her boyfriend over every weekend and getting hammered with him without telling any of us. So I have decided on tactical warfare. Play your music out loud. Enjoy hearing me play old bluegrass music through my speaker that I set next to my door. Sometimes I mix it up with a little opera and maybe some punk music depending on my mood. Invite your boyfriend over without telling us? Enjoy me making a ruckus in the early morning when you're hungover after you kept me up until 1 a.m. drunkenly laughing and loudly watching my TV that I graciously put out into the living room after you complained about it being empty. I'm thinking of hiding the remote next. Not replace the toilet paper and use up the last roll without telling me after I was the last one to buy it? Enjoy not having toilet paper for 2 days because I keep spares in my room. I've tried talking to her, but she either brushes me off or ignores my texts. We only have 20 days left, so I'll have fun making those 20 days equally as annoying for her as these last several months have been for me. All I have to say is I'm glad I never had to deal with roommates. 6 years ago, working crappy job. Friends with everyone except this one older woman, OW, who would make snide comments, call me and my friends young snotty brats, YSB, and I'm pretty sure she broke into my phone when I left it in a company vehicle once. Our supervisor, S, was awesome and hated her just as much as we did, but had to be professional. She was also romantically involved with her boss, B. As a result of a pre-existing medical condition, she passed away in the middle of the night. Supervisor was like a mentor and a second mother, and I took her death really hard. So when I heard that OW was spreading rumors that it was B's fault that S died, it obviously wasn't. No one believed her, but I was furious. She would be so nasty to B so soon after the funeral, and I decided I was sick of her crap and her drama. So the other YSBs and I started to secretly drive her crazy. If she would talk, we would pretend we couldn't hear, we wouldn't acknowledge she existed. We wouldn't talk about anything other than work when we had to talk to her. She was bad at her job, and before we just put up with it, but now we were as condescending and belittling as you could be without being outright rude. So when she complained about us to B, he wouldn't have to reprimand us. Everything she used to say we were, we made a reality, and she couldn't say crap because we smiled and had a polite tone. I.e., I know how hard it is to remember, but you just have to make sure that when you do A, that you do 1, 2, 3 first. Less than a week after S's funeral, OW walked off the job without a word to anyone. Edit. Almost forgot best part. We had a company carpool, and the morning after she walked off the job, we didn't know she quit yet and thought she just left in a huff. Boss didn't bother calling to check up on her. Show up to pick her up, and she isn't coming out, so I call her, and she starts out all angry. I quit because you brats. I cut her off and said, okay, sounds good, have a good day, in my best customer service voice and hung up. F her. I don't know what kind of person thinks it's okay to talk badly about someone who just died and then also blame the person who was in a relationship with them for their death. That's just really awful, and she wouldn't have really been welcome in that work environment anyway. Now, before we get started, a little background. My family has a rule that if one stays home from school on a Friday, they're not leaving the house during the weekend. At all. No matter what, unless they have to go to the hospital or something major. This will be important later. So my 16-year-old brother, who I'll refer to as Little Crap or LS, is normally a good kid, but as a teenager, he has his crap moments. Yesterday morning was one of them. I work night shift and had just driven 10 miles in pouring crap rain and was looking forward to spending a little time with my fiance and our unborn baby. Well, sir, my brother calls me just as I had driven into the gas station to fill up and get drinks for me and fiance. F. Me. Hello? LS. Hey, can you drop me off at school? I'm just thinking, what the crap? Really? Me. Why didn't you just take the bus? LS. I missed the bus. Me. Seething. Alright, I'll be there in a few. So I get the drinks and drive the next 4 miles home, still in pouring rain, and he gets in the car. LS. Dad wants to know if you'll go to someplace. I start ranting about how I'm freaking exhausted after my shift and just want to go home and relax. LS. I'm calling my doctor. At this point, I'm thinking, what the heck? Did I say something crazy? Me. What for? LS. I'm feeling crappy. He'd stayed home yesterday and my dad let him get away with it. Me. What's wrong? LS. My throat is still sore. I just want to make sure it's not strep. So he calls his doctor's office and makes an appointment at 8:45. Now the gears are turning in my head and I start to realize what I'd gotten myself into. Me. What day? I was hoping it was for Monday as this was a Friday. LS. Today, can we turn around? And now here it is. He's trying to get out of school. The whole way there, I start yelling at him about how inconsiderate that was, and how he asked me to take him to school, not the doctor. Keep in mind that it's just a sore throat, no fever, swollen glands, or anything else associated with strep, which I and all my siblings had as kids, so it's obvious to me that he's full of crap. We get to the doctor's office and I decide to sit in the car to get a quick nap, but not 2 minutes go by when I get a call from LS telling me that, as he's under 18, they want me in there with him. That's it. At first, I was willing to put up with it, as I'm usually pretty passive, but now I'm done. Time for revenge. Knowing this policy of my family's, I go into the doctor and discuss my plan with F, who agrees that LS has it coming. So we see his doctor, who I'll call CD for Cool Doc. CD tests for strep, but tells us it's only sinus drainage and that he'll be fine to go to school Monday. At checkout, he tells the clerk that he's going to school on Monday, to which I reply, "Nuh-uh, you're going back today." I drop him off at school and go home. I let my dad know what happened, and he's just as ticked as I am, as my sister used to do the same kind of thing to him and my mom all the time. So now he's stuck at home all weekend. But wait, there's more, and this part is the icing on the cake. Now, I knew full well that he'd most likely made plans with his girlfriend, as he usually does on weekends, but the thing about working nights in a mind-numbing job is that you tend to lose track of your days, weeks, and months. Thing is, this weekend is a junior prom, and he and his girlfriend didn't want to shell out $50 for a ticket for that, preferring to wait till senior prom and have a night on the town with her, dressed up and all, calling it their not prom. Well, this little stunt means that he now has to stay home on prom weekend, and he's ticked. Sorry, I know this isn't as dramatic as a lot of stories on here, but I was really mad, and this was extremely satisfying to me in my otherwise boring life. All I know is if I try to pull that on my sister, trying to have her take me to school and then changing plans and all of that sort of thing, she definitely would not stand for it, and this kid really did have it coming. I'm currently engaged in my petty revenge, and since all that's required for this revenge is sitting down for 5 minutes, I'm going to use the time to tell you about it. A few months ago, I needed to use the bathroom at work. The one on my floor was being cleaned, so I went down to the next floor. When I got to that bathroom, a woman was making a big deal of opening the door to air it out and spraying air freshener. As I walked in, she made some comment like, "Be careful in there, it smells awful." She then proceeded to complain to me about her coworker using the bathroom. She claimed this woman was so lazy and would spend 10 minutes in the bathroom just playing on her phone and stinking up the place. A couple of things about that. One, I had never met this woman. Literally the first words she ever said to me were a rant about a stranger's bathroom habits. Number 2, the bathroom barely smelled. Number 3, I think it's pretty crappy, pun intended, to comment on someone else's bathroom habits. It's a basic need, and people shouldn't be publicly mocked for it. In a shared bathroom situation, people should adopt a hear no evil, speak no evil, smell no evil attitude. I said to her, "I don't think it smells that bad," did what I came to do, and left. Since that day, I've made it a point to go down one flight of stairs and crap in that bathroom at least once a week. I read stuff on my phone for 5 to 10 minutes and fart as much as I can manage. Honestly, when I first read this, I laughed. This is the epitome to me of petty revenge. This complete stranger complaining about it. And now they are the target of completely petty revenge. It's beautiful. This is by far the pettiest thing I've ever done. So, a little background. About 4 years ago, I had my first boyfriend, and because I was a young and dumb teenager, I didn't want to lose him under any circumstances. One of these circumstances happened to be his best girlfriend repeatedly sending him nudes, him not telling her no because he didn't want to make it weird, and me pretending to be fine with it. I was a dummy, and of course, I just didn't want to believe he was cheating on me. The relationship ended up lasting over a year and a half, and we broke up on his terms. Only after I was out did I realize how miserable I was. Fast forward to today, and I'm completely over the situation. I have a great boyfriend, getting good grades during my first year of college, and I work at a very popular coffee chain that rhymes with Farducks on campus. I'm making drinks at the bar when I see her walk in. I smile, and by her smile back, I can tell that she has no memory of me at all. It's the girl who my ex cheated on me with. She orders a caramel frappuccino. No biggie. Part of me didn't want to make her drink, but the other part of me realized I could get a small amount of that sweet cold revenge with this situation. For blended ice drinks, we have a base syrup that we add that makes it so the ice doesn't separate from the drink. It's thick, basically all sugar, and decides the consistency of the drink. So what did I do? I added 2 extra pumps of the base to her drink while doing 1 less of the caramel syrup. Nothing that would get me in trouble. I could just say I forgot for a second, but her frappe might taste just a little bit off and too watery. The rush of adrenaline kept me going for the rest of the night. Okay, you know that you're working at Farducks for a little too long when messing up someone's drink slightly gives you an adrenaline rush that lasts you the entire night. So, a little bit of backstory. I live in a college town about 4 to 5 miles outside of town in a more rural area in a small apartment complex. There's 4 units with a small courtyard in the middle. Because the area is so small, all 4 units share one router as internet is included with the lease. The landlords never bothered to manage the router at all, so I log in every once in a while and update the firmware. Also, because this is such a rural area, there's no noise ordinances and almost no cell signal. You're lucky if you get 3G. So, about 8 p.m., my neighbors have some people come by and get a party going. A pretty common occurrence, no big deal, it was maybe like 10 people. After a few hours, the noise is at a reasonable level, just some noticeable bass from their speakers and a few loud yells now and again, nothing I can't deal with, so I decide to go to bed. It was around this time that they decided to go outside and set up a beer pong game in the courtyard. Now, when I say small courtyard, it's small. Maybe 12 by 12. And they've got 10 people crammed around some tables loudly playing beer pong with their door open, so music is now blasting outside. The area is so small that people are standing on the steps in front of my door, which is about 6 feet from my bedroom. Okay, well, it's not that late. Maybe they won't play for too long. I try to be reasonable about these things since it's a college town. Then the ping pong balls start hitting my windows. They had decided to push the table up against the side of my apartment and were attempting to do trick shots by bouncing the balls against my walls and window. It was about 1:30 a.m. now, and this is where I drew the line and decided to call in a noise complaint to no avail. So, not wanting to confront 10 loud and obnoxious drunk people, I think about my options and decide to check the router. I noticed there was a firmware update, so I figured, what the heck, let's update it and reboot. After a few seconds, their music cut out and they started yelling to get it turned back on. Oh, this was going to be fun. After the router reboots, their music starts playing again. So, I go to work randomly blocking and unblocking devices, creating a little bit of chaos. I found the phone that was being used to play Spotify through trial and error and made that my main target. Every time the music started playing, block. After a minute of them getting irritated, unblock. Eventually they switch over to a different phone, so I just start power cycling the router every minute or so. Each time the internet shuts off, they get progressively more and more annoyed. After about 15 minutes of this, I hear a series of loud huffs and some plans to move the party to someone else's house. Sweet, sweet victory. I wait for the last car to leave the driveway to confirm I had won, log out of the router, and go to bed in silence at last. Honestly, I would not have waited until 1:30 in the morning to, try my options, but good on OP here. So my Spanish teacher assigns a frankly ridiculous amount of work. Most of it is busy work. In the class, we all just have this unspoken pact where everyone just copies off everyone else because it's basically the only way to stay on top of all the work if you don't want to spend a stupid amount of time doing the homework. Basically, just let people copy your work and they'll return the favor. Simple. Not everyone participates in our class-wide cheating ring though, which, hey, that's fine, I admire their work ethic. But there's this one girl, we'll call her SB for smug brat, who was in the class last semester and was particularly obnoxious and self-righteous about the whole thing. Now, I don't consider myself to be a bad student. In fact, I'd say I'm usually the opposite. But if someone wants to copy off me, I'll let them because I know that if I'm having an off day or something, they're gonna have my back. Not SB though. SB is one of those people who just has the biggest stick up her butt and just loves being better than you. I once made the mistake of asking to copy her work only to receive a rant back and how I should just do the work myself and how it wasn't that hard and I should just F off. For the record, she was right. The work wasn't that hard. It was just the sheer volume of it that was an issue, and she was just being a brat for no reason. She also ratted us out to the teacher, which it didn't stop us, but we did have to keep it on the down low for a while. Then SB missed an entire week of school because she had pink eye. First in one eye, then just as that eye was starting to recover, she got it in the other eye. When she came back to school, she was way behind in Spanish, so she panicked. All of a sudden, she decided she wasn't really above cheating after all and wanted in. Thing is though, when you crap on everyone like that, everyone remembers, and nobody wanted to let her copy their work. None of us said a word about it to each other. Needless to say, once she was behind, it was really hard for her to get back on top of all the classwork, and we didn't have any sympathy for her because she was the one who was crapping all over her potential safety net. This semester, she is no longer in our class, and everyone still copies off everyone else to this day. So while I'm not going to condone cheating, I will say that the concept of cheating being wrong is that you're basically misrepresenting yourself by your grade, if that makes sense. However, when people give you so much busy work, this kind of situation happens a lot. And at least they weren't, piling it all on one person and just copying off of one person. This kind of stuff happened a lot when I went to school. We would do our work and we'd be like, oh crap, I forgot my paper today or something, and then we'd copy off of somebody else. Or we forgot to answer a certain question and we'd work with each other and do that kind of stuff. We weren't, just cheating because we could or doing something bad. It was just that we didn't have the time to complete the obnoxious amount of work we were given, but we were still able to get good grades even on our tests because we did understand the material. We just didn't need to do all of that work. But again, I'm not condoning cheating. For the record. We don't gift wrap at the store I work at, but we do have tissue paper available for wrapping up mugs and things that might break. When customers come up to the counter with their items and ask me to gift wrap them, I explain that we don't gift wrap, but they could buy a gift bag or some pretty wrapping paper and are welcome to use our tape, bench, and scissors. If they decline and insist that I use the tissue paper to wrap their gift because they're disorganized and a cheapskate, I purposefully leave the price tags on and take no care to wrap it nicely. It's petty and immature. I don't know why it bugs me so much, but people are so pushy about having their gift wrapped for free, and we're a busy shop. I can just imagine how irritated people are watching the free gift wrapping that they're demanding happen, and that for sale sticker being covered up with really crappy tissue paper wrapping. I bet it makes them so mad. I bet you they have to go and undo it themselves, unless they are such a cheap and tactless person that they don't even care. Well, that's actually going to finish this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and drop a like and let me know your thoughts on these stories in the comments below. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!